Hello, my name is John Howell. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 3-4-5 rule and using batter boards to lay out a building site. I have my assistant here, AJ, who's going to be our tool runner and tape measure holder. So let's talk about the tools we're going to use today. So first we have our string. We're going to use our string to lay out the outside perimeter of our building, and it's what we're going to use as a guide for when we put our posts in, to make sure that all of our posts are in a straight line. We've got two line levels here. These line levels actually snap on to our string. That way when we're laying our outside perimeter line, we know that our lines are going to be level all the way across, so we can get our basically our elevation for the work site, and any low spots or high spots in it, we can measure them off this string by using these line levels. We have a plumb bob. Plumb bob has a string that attaches to the end of it. We drop it down from our perimeter string, and what that does is that'll find exactly straight, level post location all the way along our perimeter line. We've got two 300-foot tape measures here. These two 300-foot tape measures are what we're going to use to lay out our building site today. Our building site is going to be 60 feet wide by 96 feet long. So we need two 300-foot tape measures to make sure we get all the right amount of distance out of our tape. 25-foot tape, 25-foot standard rigid tape. We're going to use that to measure our elevation off our perimeter line. We have screws and an impact driver to put together our batter boards. We have 4 metal posts here, and those are going to be our 4 corner posts. We have our hammer to drive in all of our posts. We've got a level. We're going to use those to level out our batter boards when we install them. Then last, we've got our stakes for our batter boards. These are our uprights that these 2x4s will attach to. Alright, let's start laying out our building. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to put in our very first post. This will be the front corner of our building. Make sure that you meet all your county setbacks. For us here, we have a 100-foot from the center line of the road setback. We have a fence that is put up at 33 feet at the road. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that 33 feet, go ahead bud, and we're going to measure back 70 feet. The reason we're going to measure back 70 feet is to make sure that we meet the 67 foot that we need, plus the 33 for our 100 foot. And we'll put a 3-foot extra factor on it to make sure that we're just not, so we make sure we're not too close to the road. Get back to our 70 feet. Make sure our tape measure straight. We're going to pound our post in right here at 70 feet. All right, AJ, go ahead and grab our other tape measure. So what we'll do now is we'll hook our tape measure onto this first post that we've driven in, and we will measure down 60 feet, which is going to be the front of our building. And then AJ will take the other tape measure and he will measure back to the road 70 feet to make sure that our building is actually straight to the barn. Alright, here's our 60 feet. Coming across our front. AJ is going to take the end of this tape, go to the fence. Where our 60 feet and our 70 feet meet. Right here. That's where we're going to plant our post. And this actually gives us kind of the outline of the front wall to our building. And it also makes sure that the building is square to the road. We don't have any funny angles. So now let's talk about how we're going to use the 3-4-5 rule to lay out the next leg of our building. The 3-4-5 rule works this way. As long as we have a right triangle, one leg is 3 foot, the other leg is 4 foot, that means that the line across here, if we were taking a tape measure and measure from this point to this point, would measure 5 feet across. This is all based off the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that's where we get 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. And we can also do this with multiples of 3. So if, let's say we want 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15. So this would also similarly look, if this was measured 9 foot across here, 12 foot across here, that means that the measurement from here to here would be 5 foot. This is the concept we're going to use to square up our building and make sure that our wall, our second wall we're going to put up here, is exactly square to the first one that we put up. The way we're going to do that is because we have a 60-foot wide building, we're going to times this 3-4-5 by 20. So that means we're going to have 60-foot measurement across the front, 80 foot down the side, and 100 foot on the angle. So let's go do that now. So what we're going to do for our 3-4-5 rule is I'm going to slip one of my tape measure ends over top of this post right here. My assistant is going to run the other tape measure down to that post down there. And I'm going to start walking down the length of the building here. Yep, just slide it right over top, all the way down the bottom. And I'm going to start walking back. And when I get to 80 feet and 100 feet, where those two line up, will give me a perfect right angle for this wall. So I got my 80 feet and my 100 feet on my tape measures here. Make sure your tapes are straight. Pull them up in the air a little bit. Give them a little jolt so that way when they snap back down they're straight. A little bit of tension on them. And where the 80 foot and the 100 foot meet, that is where you need to put your post. The camera person will walk over here so they can see the tape measurements. So I've got my tape measures pulled nice and taut so that I know my measurements are good. And right where this 80 and this 100 meet, right there in that V, right here, that's where my post needs to be driven in at. Now once this post is driven in here, that gives me a line from that metal post down there to this one. And I can draw my line off, measure a few more feet to my 96, and I have my straight line. Go ahead and run down. Now that we've measured, we have this post at 80 foot. We know this post is at a perfect right angle to our front wall that we did earlier, or our front layout wall we did earlier. Now I can hold my tape measure, or take my tape measure, pull it taut, because this tape measure is just like a string line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure back to our 96 feet. And when my tape measure, pulled tight, just touches that metal post, I know that I'm square. So let's measure it back 96 feet. here. What we're going to do is we're going to pull it tight. If you look down, you can see how we've got our tape measure pulled tight. Now what we do is we just make it so the tape measure barely touches that steel post. And when it barely touches that steel post, we know we can put this one in at 96 feet to the corner of our building. Like that. We can drive this post in. This will be the other corner of our building. So now we have 2 of our walls complete. And we know that those 2 walls are square to each other in their layout. So now, let's go ahead and we're going to figure out where our 4th point is. So what we're going to do now is our brand new post that we just put in. We're going to hook our tape measure to that now. We're going to bring that across to 60 feet. Our other tape measure we have connected to our front line, so we know where that's at 96. We're going to bring this tape measure over 60 feet. And where that 60 feet and our 96 match up and meet. Like this. Make sure they're tight. Where the 96 and the 60 meet. Like so. This is where we're going to put our post in. So what this will do is these should be the 4 corners of our buildings. Now to make sure that this building is completely square, what we can do is we can measure far corner to far corner of the building to see what our measurement is. So our tape measure is already connected down there at the corner post. We'll come down here to the far opposite corner of the building. And we're going to take a measurement. Take a measurement and it is 113 feet and 2 inches. AJ, take that, unhook it from that post over there and switch it to the other corner. Now we're going to measure our other far distant corners. We need to measure it here. Perfect. 113 feet and 2 inches. So we have our official 4 corner posts in right now. We know the building is completely square because when we measure from far corner to far corner, we have 113 feet and 2 inches. It doesn't matter which way you measure it, you get 113 and 2 inches. So we know the building is perfectly square right now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our batter boards so we can start laying out our string lines. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put in our batter boards. Our batter boards are going to allow us to attach our string lines so our post lines are still set, but it's going to allow us to be able to have our strings mounted back away from our posts. So when we go to do any excavation of the site, or if we go to drill holes, we can actually pull out our posts and the strings we can simply push back and they will not be in our way. We won't destroy them. So what we want to do is, here's our corner post. We want to measure back about 4 to 5 feet from our post. It doesn't need to be perfect, because what it's going to do is just give yourself an offset of where our string line attaches to. So that way that post can come right out and it won't matter. course, it helps that we haven't had any rain. It makes the ground extremely hard. Go ahead and pause this for a second. So, we went and got a bigger hammer because of the dry dirt. We got our stakes pounded in here. Next, we need to put this section on our batter board. What we're going to do is we'll screw it in there. Another screw. Take our level, put our level on top, and find out where level is right there. There we go. Now what we would do is we would take a screw, put it in the top here, like this, and then our string would wrap around and we would run it down to the next set of batter boards. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, we're going to put the rest of the batter boards together, and we'll start laying out our strings. Alright, so we've gone through, we've got our batting boards in on this first post, they're leveled. The rest of the batter boards, all we've gotten put in so far is the stakes. We can't put in these boards until we get an idea of where level is from our string line. So what we'll do is we're going to put in our first screw on our batter board. Right about here. So we'll be able to move this later. And of course, as I said before, the ground's hard because it hasn't rained. Well, guess what? It started raining. So we had to take a brief intermission while we let some of the rain pass. That's the way it works. All right, come down here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our little line level. We're going to snap it on our string here. We're going to send it down to the middle. AJ, go ahead and take that down to the middle. I need the screw gun down here, bud. Thank you. All right, go ahead and take that to the middle of our line. All right, so is the bubble in the middle? Where do we need to go? Up or down or where? Which side of the bubble? Which way is the bubble?
You have to go that way a little way.
It needs to go up, like that?
Yep.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so we'll put it right here, right where it goes. So we'll ease this up a little bit. We'll use our level. Level our board out. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take it. Let go, dude. We're going to take it so that our string just touches our post. We'll put a screw in. string, please. Screw in the top of our batter board like this. We're going to wrap our string around. So, and snap that line level, please, AJ.
Take it off.
Yep, take it off. So we've got our line level attached here. We're leveling out from that batter board to that one, which means so this board here will be level to the first one we started with. We're going to put our screw in. Go piece of level, please. Up this board. Go ahead and unset that level good. Put a screw in here. Set for this long sideline. And we'll come back and adjust this one in a little while. Not a big deal. Screw gun, AJ. Putting our line down our long side here. Tap that line level on, dude. So we'll snap the line level on, and the line level will then tell us what to make sure this string is level from the front of the barn all the way to the back of the barn. Up or down? Right there? All right. Still. So we'll put a screw in the board. Use our level and level it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to continue around the entire exterior of the building just like this. We're going to be using this string to level all four sides, to level in between our batter boards with that line level. So we've gone through, we've got all of our batter boards up, we've got leveled, or we're leveled between all of our batter boards with our string level. We've got our entire X shape made. Now the next part about this is you see how it's stepped back. I've got this one stepped back 4 to 5 feet. And so these batter boards right here are out and away from our actual building site. So what I can do is I can actually take this post right here, pull it out of the ground, come in here, and I have two choices. I can either kind of push the lines back like that and do what work I need in the corner, Or because I have my screws already set on my batter boards, I can actually take down this entire string all the way around, do what excavation I need, and then simply put my string back up because my screws are already there. They're being held in place by the batter boards. So all my lines will go right back where they were to originally. And then when I do that, and I want to know exactly where that post needs to be, so the front corner of that post is what I pulled out. I simply take my plumb bob and I put it right in the corner of the two strings. Simply let it down right there. And I know that this post needs to go right back in this spot right here to be in the corner. So these batter boards allow for the excavation and allow for the post holes. And then I can also take my tape measure and I can measure down every 8 foot or 10 foot, depending on what I want to set my posts at. Simply take my plumb bob, set it down, take some spray paint, mark where my post is going to be. Measure down 8 more feet, set this down, mark where my post is going to be. Then I can simply push it back, come in with my auger, drill my holes. When I set my posts in, I know that all my posts need to meet, the outside edge of my post needs to touch that string right there. And I know if it just touches that string and the post is level, my building is straight, my building is square. This is a great design. It's a great way to be able to do your excavation, do your post hole work, and still have your entire layout set up. Now the last part of it is doing our elevation. And what that is we want to see, because obviously our ground is not going to be perfectly level. So what I'll do is I will measure with my tape measure from the ground to here, which is 16 3/4 inches. I can walk down to this corner. Walk down to this corner and I can measure this corner as well. And this one's at 20 inches. So I know that there's this corner over here is 3 inches, 3 1/4 inches lower than that corner is. So I know that when I put my pole building in, I'm gonna need 3 1/4 inches more fill. Thank you, that's all.